And you talked after the Scarlets game about a learning opportunity and how it was a narrowly missed chance. What can you take and learn from that game going into the next one?
Well, we spoke about, I'm sure, I spoke to Glenn Delaney after the game and whatever, and they felt quite relieved, obviously, to win the game and bits and pieces. And that's probably the sentiment of how far we've come. It was a very competitive game, and when you're, used to being in those arenas, you learn from the emotional side of it as well as the key moments in the game. And around about the 60 minutes mark, I thought we didn't have enough control in the game. I said that post, especially in the first half, through our set piece line out, and I thought that potentially that we didn't control the field position quite as well as we had done previously. So there's opportunities around that. But that being said, around 60 to 70 minutes, we had an opportunity to when we were hard around their 22. In tight games and in pressure games, you need to convert those chances, and we didn't convert. And ultimately, we could have turned that into a 10-point, 12-point buffer, and then the game's completely different. And those sort of conditions, it's very, very hard to come back from there. Let alone with only 12 minutes or 10 minutes on the clock. So we had our opportunities to kill the game off. We didn't take them, and we eventually paid the price for that. On a key moment for them, which is they've manufactured. But I'm more interested in what we could have controlled. People talk about the forward pass at the end. I've looked at it. I'm not going to talk about it. I've had referee feedback about it, but ultimately we need to control our own environment. And we had an opportunity to do that around that sort of middle of the second half, and we didn't do that well enough. So that's really for us to learn an opportunity. And if we want to be the team that we want to be, we will execute there, and we will cash in on what we've created.
I guess the minuses would include the line-out, which was a bit sort of unreliable in the first half, perhaps.
Yeah.
And maybe the scrum as well, perhaps, throughout the game.
Well, we only had 4 scrums, so. Yeah, people will talk about general outcomes, around that. I've got no issues with our scrum performance because there's key moments that allow you field position. They get magnified. In poor conditions because there's usually more of them. And actually, there was only 11 scrums in the whole game, 4 for us and 7 for them. So, I don't think that's justified. But I do, from a line-out percentage win, especially in the first half, to get field position and control. I don't think that is the standard that it has been. We had early season stuff around that. We've worked hard to get that. We've lost 3 line-outs in 3 games, but up until that point. So, that's a credit to them and the work that we've done. But look at what we did when we did it. We got 3 maul penalties. From a physical point of view, our maul was very potent as it has been in the last few games. You'd have seen the European games. And going toe-to-toe. And we need good set-piece and fundamentals of the game, how we defend. I mean, they didn't score a try to the 72nd minute. So your fundamentals of the game were strong, And if they're not, when the conditions aren't great, you end up, ruining those opportunities to build pressure through what you can control. So, I think what you talk about in the lineup from a line-out point of view is definitely justified.
I mean, where do you attribute the blame there? Is it a collective thing? And I mean, is it down to the thrower? If it is, just to put that right.
Well, I don't like the word blame for a start because ultimately it's not. That's I understand why you use it. For me, we all eulogise in the success, and we all take the consequences of when it's not right. So it's a multi-layered thing from throw to jump to call to time that you take to get to the line out to give defensive recovery time. It's a multi-layered thing. There'll be games where you lose lots of line outs. There'll be games when you win 100%. It's just part and parcel of it. You've got to make yourself as robust through different methods to enable that consistency to return that's been there for the last couple of months.
You think it'll be those sort of things you need to get right then against the Blues? Oh, you're anticipating another tight derby contest.
But derby contests are always tight. That's the nature of them, And it's more around emotional control and pressure than it is around having the all singing, all dancing game plan and this tactical and this game of chess and that game of chess. So it's often about the key moments, the little moments in the game, and last week we didn't probably control that well enough, and this week we know what's coming from a breakdown threat from them. We know that they're a team that like to effectively defend. Opposition have a lot of ball in play time against them, but they're happy to do so because of the way that they attack the breakdown. So the little things around the breakdown are going to matter, So again, it becomes an attritional battle, but that's rugby, and especially if the conditions play their part. And in derby games, it becomes even more about that.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Toby, it's Mark. It is Mark Orders.
Hello, Mark. You've got no camera on. Do you know that?
Really?
Yeah, no camera on my end. Just so you know. It's fine. I'm just letting you. Oh, there you are. There you are.
There we are. Yeah, with Gareth Anscombe.
Yep.
Might we see him? Is there a possibility we might see him sometime this season?
Yeah, maybe. If he obviously, as we spoke about Keelan earlier, he's in a scenario where we need to be very careful because of a double injury, as in like the same injury not taking a great amount of time. So we need to err on the side of caution, as we've done with Keelan, and he's in the same boat as that. But yeah, we will go as fast as his body lets him go. But we're pretty confident from what we've seen that he's going to get back. The question of when will be how he responds to the last part of his training, because what happens with the injury, you get to the 80-85% of where you need to be, and that last 15% is very difficult. And there's a psychological element about that, about being ready, emotionally ready, physically ready, trusting your body. So we need to condition the player both physically and mentally to be able to perform, especially in the position that he plays.
Is there a word to describe Dan Lydiate's effort? 30 tackles in a single game. I mean, some players they could take 3 games to put that many tackles in.
Well, he got acknowledged internally for that this week. Him and Rhys Davies are having a bit of a competition, which is great. And internal competition, drives performance forward. And he's the first to tell you how much life is still in the old dog. And he's certainly a leader by example. And the good thing since I've been here, him along with a number of others, that people will probably question, where are they in there? What's their motivation? They're leading by example, and that shows you probably the new birth of the Ospreys, and they're committed to getting the Ospreys, further along that path of the new journey.
Yeah, last question from me really. At scrum half, Ruben scored a nice try, looked quite lively. Is there competition building up in that position, or is Rhys as an international scrum half still, well clear as your frontline number 9?
I think every coach would say they want competition for places because it drives people forward, to be at their very, very best. Webby's basics are, it's world-class basics, kicking game, and pass and whatever, and he has a good running threat. And Ruben's a young player that's developing under being around him, seeing what he does, and also us showing faith in him. So I think that there's no point in just keep going with, one option, then all of a sudden you get to international windows and you haven't got anybody left who's got any game time or whatever. So it's always a balancing act. We want the competition for places, but I believe in both of those boys have got big futures for the Ospreys. Obviously Webby's an international player and he leads by example. You saw what he did defensively. You saw that the ball speeded up, and those opportunities that he was on the pitch there, as well as you saw his potency of Ruben when he was running. So look, those two boys, we've got some good boys behind them as well. Harry Morgan, Welsh under-20s is a really, really good player who's unfortunately is injured, got injured in the Zebra game. And we've got Sean Venter and Matthew Aubrey who have played a lot of rugby for the Ospreys. So it's a position of strength for us, which is good for us going forward.
With Rhys, he's had a few injuries. What are you expecting of him over the rest of the season? Are you expecting him to reclaim his Wales number 1 status and maybe challenge for the Lions?
Yeah, well, that's our aim. Our aim is to get Rhys Webb playing the best of his ability in a team that helps him look and be the player that he can be, and that's everyone's responsibility. And Rhys knows that his responsibility is obviously to deliver for the Ospreys, and if we're performing well, that gives him the best chance. So, look, I have absolutely faith in Webby being a starting player for Wales. That's not my decision, but I have a massive belief in him, and I've got players I believe that in the long term will push their way, into reckoning at some point as they grow. So I've got a nice balance from a scrum half point of view. I can't control the Welsh selection, I can't control the Lions selection. All I can control is the environment we put around Reece Webb, Ruben, and those players that we talk about. And if we do that, then their talent and performance will decide.